In this video, where to stay in Cancun, Mexico. Maybe you're planning to visit for 3 to 5 to 7 days as a tourist, or maybe you're planning to visit as a digital nomad for 1 to 3 to 6 months, or even as an expat or retiree looking for a long-term stay. In this video, we're gonna cover everybody. We're gonna break down the best neighborhoods to stay in Cancun and what to do in Cancun, where to stay to maximize your experience. Because we know that the neighborhood that you stay, even down to the block or the building, can really change your experience overall in Cancun. And so in this video, we're gonna break down where to stay in Cancun. So Cancun is a big city at this point. We're talking about over 1 million people. This is a city that really didn't even exist 50 years ago. This was straight up, and just for a little history lesson here, the whole Cancun area and this part of the Yucatan Peninsula had no city of any kind 50 years ago. So Cancun is really a recent phenomenon. It's something that was government planned. In that sense, it's really a government planned city that was built on top of the jungle. Some forward-thinking, future-thinking government officials said, why don't we build an airport there? Why don't we capitalize upon the tourist potential there? And that's kind of how Cancun really started. For a while, there wasn't even any of this road infrastructure, obviously. But anyway, today we have a 1 million person city in Cancun, and probably worth addressing that a lot of people are going to move down the coast, say to Playa del Carmen, or maybe to the island of Cancun, or to Tulum. And there's pros and cons to doing that, but let's assume for the sake of this video that you've pretty much decided that you want to stay in the Cancun area. And maybe the reason is for ease of access to the international airport. And the Cancun airport really is one of the best in the world. Literally, in terms of flight connections, it's almost unmatched, especially in the Americas. So the airport is here for reference, the International Airport of Cancun. It's basically at what you might call the south of the city. One characteristic of the airport, though, is that it has direct access to the peninsula. And I'm calling it a peninsula. I mean, really, I'm just talking about the larger hotel zone, which starts down here at Punta Nizuc and goes all the way up El Rey, La Isla, Playa Marlin, hotel zone, up to the Faro, which is the lighthouse, and then into this strip that's closer to the main city. So all that to say that if you were to stay in the hotel zone somewhere near here, you'll actually end up being quite close to the hotel. So something to think about if you want to sort of minimize friction for a 5-night stay, something like that, like a short stay, 1-week vacation. I would look maybe at staying in the southern part of the hotel zone near El Rey, and that's going to allow you to be closer to the airport. And logistically, it's just like a good slice of beach as well. Like, it's arguably nicer in the south here, maybe a little bit less visited as well, less touristed, so a little bit more clean and everything. So for a vacation, I highly recommend this southern part of the hotel zone. And then when we get into longer stays of, let's say, 1 month or more, you start to think, where do I want to stay? Do I want to stay in the hotel zone, or do I want to stay somewhere on the mainland, quote unquote? So obviously, I would say for short duration stays, 5 to 7 to 10 days, just stay right on the beach, stay in the hotel zone. That's what you want to do. Like, if you're only here for 5 days or something, no reason to stay in town. Even if you want to do excursions and do different things, go see pyramids, go to Isla Mujeres, I would still say, if you're only here for a week, stay on the beach. It's really going to maximize your experience. So short-term stays, vacation stays, stay on the beach. You're here for vacation, enjoy yourself. But if you're the type of person that's looking to stay for 1 month or longer as a digital nomad or expat, then the calculus is a little bit different. One, it's quite hard to find longer term stays in the hotel zone. There's a couple ways you can do this. There are some residential buildings, but then also for the hotels, especially in off season, they're not always running at full occupancy. And so you can go and negotiate with those hotel managers and say, hey, I want to stay for 30 days or something like that, and try to get a deal. If you've never done that before, just know that honestly, negotiating with hotel owners and management is pretty common all over the world for people who are looking for longer term stays. So it's not like a Mexico or Cancun thing, but this is something I think is underutilized. It needs to be mostly in person. Like maybe you could do it over the phone in some circumstances, but also might be easier in person to negotiate staying longer term in a hotel. And it can be pretty sick, honestly, because they have the best amenities. They usually have crazy pools and bars, and in this hotel zone area, it's really quite built up. So you really get access to good amenities for a month's stay. So something to consider, but that's not really available to everyone. And then we come to the city of Cancun. As we talked about, this is a 1 million person city, more or less. It's the biggest city on the Yucatan Peninsula other than Merida. Merida is big as well. I think in terms of metro area, it might actually be larger. Cancun is probably growing faster, but Merida is still larger. Merida is a historic city that's been there hundreds of years, and Cancun, as we mentioned, is a newer city. And so it just basically keeps growing out into the jungle. Like if you look at some of this stuff, this is all new outgrowth or urban sprawl into the jungle. And if you looked at a time lapse, these things come up on TikTok and Reels and stuff every now and then. If you looked at a time lapse at the city of Cancun and the growth and how they've just taken over more and more jungle, it's really pretty wild. So even in 5-10 years, it's going to look quite different. And you can kind of like zoom in on Google Maps at some of these modern neighborhoods that really front on the jungle. And the jungle here really is jungle in the truest sense. Like we're talking monkeys, jaguars, crazy animals, all that type of stuff, just crazy stuff. You can see here, this is growing like right out of the jungle. All right, so let's get to it. You want to know if you're going to stay in the city of Cancun, outside the hotel zone in the city, where do you want to stay? And my answer is going to be to stay near the mall, and specifically Mall Las Americas. This is the best mall in the city. It has 50,000 reviews on Google. 50,000 reviews on Google Maps is enormous, especially for a mall. Like even big malls in big cities only have maybe 7,000, 8,000 reviews. And so to see 50,000 reviews on this mall, you know it's well frequented. And if we look at the other malls, it's a lot less. So there is the Cancun Mall. This is going to be a much more local mall, but this is almost like a strip mall. This is like an American style strip mall. But Las Americas, this is not a strip mall. This is like a full out enclosed mall, air conditioning, gym, bars, restaurants, all the clothing stores, all types of stuff. Because Cancun, as we talked about, the Cancun International Airport is one of the most trafficked airports, one of the most frequented airports in the whole world. And so it makes sense that, obviously there's a lot of international tourists and people that want to do shopping and people that want to do American style shopping, kind of get access to American brands. Maybe they're from other countries like, I don't know, Brazil or Europe or something. And they can come to the mall here in Las Americas and they can really get those American brands and get the American Levi's and whatever else, right? And why you want to stay near here is because then you really have access to all the amenities you need. And what's cool about this mall, by the way, is as we look at this on Google Street View, is it has this road that leads out to a malecon, in other words, a boardwalk. And so you have somewhere that you can come run, maybe walk a stroller with the baby, maybe go for a bike ride, like I said, go for a run, all different types of outdoor activities you can do along this boardwalk. And as you can see, like, it's really quite open. It's not too busy. And you really get the fresh air coming off the Caribbean. And so what's cool about staying near the mall is that behind it, you have access to this boardwalk and you have a walking distance. You have kind of like these mini like park, nature reserve areas. And it's basically just the closest that you're getting to nature in Cancun. Because if you look here, well, at least the water, I mean, like we talked about, you can border on the jungle. But if you want to get in walking distance to the beach from Cancun, it's almost impossible. So at least here with Plaza Americas, you have access to this little Malecon boardwalk area. It's not a beach. It's definitely not a beach. You know, it is kind of like a gunky bay to some extent, but at least you have somewhere that you can come run and everything like that. If you absolutely need access to the beach, but you want to be in the city, then take a look at what we're doing right now on Google Maps and kind of see what this might look like and sort of visualize what your setup might be. Because there are some neighborhoods that are really close to the ferry terminal, and there are some beaches here that people can get access to. It's really quite annoying, like the way that you have to sort of walk along this pretty extended mini highway to get to the beach. But if you were to stay really, really close, like say in this sort of area, which again is close to Plaza Las Americas, or maybe up here, and you can kind of get access to some of the beach here, then that's what you'd have to do, is you'd have to be in Puerto Juarez or somewhere near Las Americas. Probably worth mentioning as a reminder that beaches in Mexico are public, like every beach is public. It's kind of just a question of the access and finding legal access points to the beach. But technically, once you're on the beach, all beach area in Mexico is public and open to all Mexicans. So they can't really deny you direct access to the beach, or if you're on the beach, they can't kick you off. But they kind of control the access points, some of these big resorts and hotels. So it becomes a bit of a battle of being like, hey, I'm a resident or I'm a citizen or whatever it is, I just want access to the beach, and they'll let you through, or you talk to somebody, or you got to go around. It's a bit of a thing. So I thought that would be worth mentioning, just that, you know, beaches are public in Mexico. So even if you see beach here, and maybe it looks like it's very much part of the resort, well, the beach itself is public if you can get to it, right? So as we talked about, you know, one of the best beach access points is here on Kukulkan, Boulevard Kukulkan, and the mall is here. And so the absolute best neighborhood, and wait, I should intro this more. Guys, the absolute best neighborhood, the absolute best place that you guys could stay in Cancun, on the mainland, outside the hotel zone, is going to be right in here. And already you can see on my Google Maps, there's a number of things popping up. You have a Wyndham hotel. You have different smaller hotels, Urban Oasis. You got different buildings like Torres Huitzilin. And you can call these places up and see if they have availabilities, or if you're in person, you can go and kind of ring the doorbell, talk to the doorman and say, hey, are there any availabilities here? But in any case, a good mix of stuff, right? There's hotels, there's places for longer term stays. You'll even find Airbnbs available in here. And it has a park in the middle too, which is huge, that you can come and walk the dogs, and it's got a circuit that you can do a little run. And this is public as well. This is definitely worth putting a little star on, actually. So I would say that right in here is the absolute best area that you could stay in Cancun for a longer term stay. Be sure to get a bicycle. You'll definitely want, or like an electric scooter or something like that. You'll definitely want to get, you know, something to make it not so much of a mission to get out to the beach here. But you got the mall nearby, you got the beach nearby, you got the little park here, you got the ocean breeze. And so for that reason, I would say this is the best mini neighborhood in Cancun to stay. This is where you should stay. And then really largely anywhere near Plaza Las Americas. So anywhere kind of within a concentric circle, as you can see around the mall, that makes you less than a 10-minute walk to the mall is going to be huge, because then you're going to have access to the Costco, the Walmart, you got some Mercados, you got this other ecological park, which I'm going to put a star into. So this is really like the vortex zone of where you want to be. But with that, hope you found this video interesting. Where to stay in Cancun, best neighborhoods in Cancun. If you are looking, by the way, if you want to get residency in Mexico, become a resident of Mexico, become a permanent resident of Mexico, we can help you do that. Reach out to us. I'm sure there's a link somewhere. There's a lot of ways to get in touch if you want to get residency in Mexico, or really you need any other tax, immigration, relocation type services. You'll be able to find a way to get in touch with us. Thanks for the video. Please subscribe. Catch you in the next one.